First round of the Austrian Cup is next weekend. You know how I look forward to that after all this show. Soccer without hydration breaks, bring it on. CNN called me out of the blue during this World Cup and asked me and Sam Mewis, former U.S. women's national team player, why draws in soccer are a thing and how we would explain that to the U.S. And I said, not every encounter in life should be decided with a winner and a loser. Well, it's the night of the World Cup final. That article I'm going to put in the show notes, so if you want to look it up, the CNN piece and a German podcast also interviewed me during the World Cup on my view about soccer in the US. That's in German, though. I'll also put the link in there if you're interested. So no big World Cup recap from me, but something spontaneous came together. Florian Ederer is a fellow Austrian who was at World Cup games, who did quite a bit on his socials as well, including about ticket prices. Got a lot of attention there. So he's giving us a bit of a download here right after the final whistle in the final game. And then Dhruv Kapoor from India, we've never had a guest from India, is a tactic nerd who wrote a piece that got some traction during the World Cup, probably should have gotten more. He's bemoaning the loss of distinct football cultures here. Both of them and me with a slightly jaded little review. Take it or leave it on this hazy, smoke-filled evening in Indiana. The US and Canada are cooperating on wildfires too, so we're getting a lot of smoke here in this area right now. A lot of hot air. The obvious bridge to the World Cup, and here is Florian. All right, here we go. Florian, an Austrian economist, but not an Austrian economist.
That's right, Austrian.
50% of this audience will get the joke, I think.
Exactly.
50% plus.
Exactly.
Highly educated audience.
Yeah.
We are both Austrians and we're from the very same region, and we didn't really know that until right now. So give us a quick little rundown on who you are, and then we'll jump to your jaded World Cup analysis.
Of course. So I'm an economist by training. I'm a professor I'm the Alan and Kelly Questrom Professor of Markets Public Policy at Boston University Questrom School of Business. I work a lot, mostly on antitrust issues, but that has always been paired with just an enthusiasm for soccer. I've been a fan growing up of Sturm Graz and the Austrian national team. I vividly remember the first World Cup that I sort of can remember in 1986. And then, of course, even more vividly, the 1990 World Cup, because that's the first World Cup in which Austria qualified and that I can remember. And I greatly hold it against my father that in 1998, I begged him, and my brother also did, and begged him to take us to the World Cup because Austria was qualified and he didn't take us. But to bring it full circle is that in this World Cup, which is hosted in the United States, I did take all of my kids and all of my brother's kids and all of my father and all of my cousins to the World Cup to see a bunch of the group games of Austria, and then also the final elimination game, which we lost to now the eventual world champions, World Cup winners.
So it kind of serves the Austrian mentality a little too well, because now we can say, if it weren't for this, right? We were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you could even say that in 90 minutes we created more XG against Spain than Argentina created XG.
So really, we came in second, is what happened.
Well, that's true. But I think if I've joked about this before, but if it's second, then it's Argentina, and if it's third, then probably it should be Cabo Verde, that also held, both of these teams to draws over 90 minutes.
Yeah. You dressed up for these games?
Of course, yeah. So
do you always do that for national team games, or is this a special show?
I think it's part of my identity. I love costumes, and the costume there, it was something that I've always wanted to do, and I've gone in somewhat hilarious costumes to the last couple of big tournaments that Austria has been involved in. But this one here served a particular purpose because you
need to explain the costume first.
I have an extremely colorful. I wish I could show it now. I have an extremely vibrant red, white, red jacket. It's a suit jacket that I sometimes pair with a tie and usually with a fun hat. The even better costume is that of my brother, who dressed up as Mozart, but
Yes.
With for those of you in the audience who know lots and lots about Austrian soccer, he had the back number 9 and Tony Polster on it, and together we played at a bunch of the fan gatherings that Austria had, both in Dallas, in Kansas City, and then even in Los Angeles in the round of 32 knockout game. I grew up playing a ton of music. My brother is even better. He's incredibly gifted and talented. And it was super fun, particularly in Dallas, where we played to a crowd of 3,000 to 4,000 Austrian supporters before the match.
What did you play? Did you play Austrian classics? Or?
Yeah, we played a bunch of Austrian classics. For the American viewers, they might be familiar with Rock Me Amadeus by Falco, which is, of course, the only number 1 hit. Yeah. And then the other one
is... And it's Mozart themes, for those of you who are...
Exactly. It's a Mozart theme to it, too. And then the other thing that is, that is quite well known for is the I Am From Austria, the sort of unofficial Austrian anthem by Reinhard Fendrich. And then we played a bunch of the other, well-known classics that everybody knows: the Freed From Desire, the Waka Waka, the Go West, the Seven Nation Army, the Samba de Janeiro. All the standard anthems, grandstand anthems that supporters might be familiar with.
Yeah. Did I hear this right? Did they just play "Life Is Life" from Opus at the final again? That also is an Austrian.
Yeah, of course, and it has the very strong Argentinian connection with that warm-up video.
With the
Maradona, yes, exactly,
Germany, I think it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was against Stuttgart, but I'm not 100% sure in that in one of the European Cups.
Yeah. So good vibes in the Austrian camp that you encountered. You have also been very critical of some of the ticket pricing issues before. When you actually arrived on a game day, what was the vibe?
So I think that
what you say.
Yeah, I think the overall vibe was very good. It's very organized, but you have to bear in mind that Austria does not travel in big numbers the way that England or Scotland or certainly Argentina do. I think we were kind of similar to, the support that other smaller nations get. There's a very, very enthusiastic core that's quite well organized through WhatsApp channels and Instagram channels. And they do a good job. And they're also quite inclusive in that they integrate stuff. And I think it's also something that they've very strongly learned from other supportive associations. And I think that's particularly going to grow if Austria repeatedly qualifies for big tournaments. I think the tricky thing was that in 2016 was the first time we really went to an away European Championships. And then again in 2020, but 2020 or 21 was really a bit garbage in the sense that it was a COVID tournament. And so you couldn't really get a big fan turnout. And then Euro 2024 was really the only one where you could really see that something was coming together in terms of the fan scene. Now, what is not great for that fan scene is, of course, the very, very high ticket pricing policy that FIFA engaged in during this tournament. I as an economist, I perfectly understand why FIFA went this particular way. It's profit maximizing.
Yeah, we're talking about dynamic pricing as the model. Many American listeners will be used to that from all kinds of sports that they attend. The rest of the world is not, and it's been very controversial.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not just the dynamic pricing in that the prices adjust and mostly just move up, but we also saw a lot more price discrimination. It's the first time that you had group stage games that were priced differently, because obviously people were more interested in going to Austria versus Argentina than Austria versus Jordan. But I have to give also FIFA some credit in that, I was quite critical and somewhat questioned their very, very high ticket prices. But in the end, all of these games were sold out. They were quite deceptive and opaque in their ticket pricing. But in the end, they sold all of the tickets. And so the tickets, of course, did not necessarily go to the most deserving ones, but those with the highest willingness to pay. And that's something that a seller of tickets is always trading off, in particular one that has not just concerns about profit maximization, but also thinks about which types of fans do I want to have at these matches.
And which types of fans did you have at these matches? Then do you think it reflected, if you compare it to, I don't know, going to a Sturm game in Europe or even to an Austrian national team game in Europe? Was that crowd at this World Cup visibly more, I don't know, upper middle class? What difference did it make?
I wouldn't say so. And I think the reason for it is that it was the same strong inner core of people that traveled. You didn't have the big numbers. For example, in the Austria-Netherlands game, in the group stage in 2020, Euro 2024, the entire Olympic Stadium was filled. 1/3 was Austrian supporters, and that was a huge turnout. And even at the sort of like biggest fan vibe game, which I'd say was the Kansas City game against Algeria, where fans weren't quite so priced out as like in the Argentina game. Even there, it was at most maybe 8%, 9% of Austrians. So you didn't have as many, but that's more of a reflection of just how expensive it is to travel to these places.
Right.
It's super easy to get from Austria to Berlin or to Düsseldorf, but it's extremely difficult to get to Kansas City, and it's just very, very, very expensive.
And the rest of the crowd for a game like this, Austria, Algeria, where you don't fill the stadium with just Austrians and Algerians. What was the rest of the crowd there? Like, what kind of folks were these?
I think an enthusiastic crowd, but obviously not one that, it wasn't the same electric atmosphere that you would have at the Euro group stage game. It turned out to be a fabulously exciting match. For those of you who don't remember, it was, that last minute go ahead goal.
Yeah, we won the game 3-3.
Exactly. We won that game 3-3. But I would say that it was an enthusiastic, neutral crowd, but definitely plenty of people who went to these games and saying, I am somewhat local to Kansas City and I want to experience the World Cup, or I want to experience the World Cup with my kids. So I had some surplus tickets for this particular game, and I gave them or sold them to friends of mine who drove from Colorado, who are Liverpool supporters and turned up in their Liverpool jerseys, which were red and fit in right well with the Austrian crowd, but we're not there. We're not didn't know the chants and didn't know the usual fan support and tifo stuff that you'd see at these games.
Yeah. And for your kids, what do you think? I think kind of World Cup. What image of soccer did this World Cup reinforce? You think?
I have two girls. They both play soccer. They're really into it. They love playing.
How old are yours? I have two as well.
9 and 12. Okay, so they're really into soccer.
Add 3 years, and then you got mine.
Exactly, and I think if they both were into it, I think that the 9-year-old was particularly excited about showing up in the newspaper, being captured on camera and seeing TVs and stuff. And she's, very photogenic. But I think for my 12-year-old in particular, I think it was really like her first World Cup of really fully experiencing it and understanding the tactics and understanding the fan culture and understanding sort of like the cultural significance of it. She's the type of person who, she saw Carles Puyol in the crowd and sort of, with the innocence of a 12-year-old said, oh, this must be Marco Correa's dad.
Yes, that was a great tweet.
Yeah. But she obviously understood tactics before, but she went right ahead and started reading Inverting the Pyramids by the Jonathan Wilson book, which is, of course, the gateway drug into this true obsession with soccer tactics and soccer itself.
Yeah, excellent, very good. Is this an exception to how you live your fan life in the US normally?
I'm somewhat sad that I do not have an MLS club to support. Yeah. And so my entire fandom is really consumed by Sturm Graz and the Austrian national team.
And rightly so. Well, not the national team.
Yeah.
Sturm Graz.
But I mean, I think one thing that has been really, really good in terms of fandom is that the increasing number of Austrian players that do play in the Premier League, and that is incredibly well covered in the US through NBC and its subsidiaries. And so, now especially with Xaver Schlager going to Nottingham Forest and Kevin Danso
to an Austrian coach.
Exactly, an Austrian coach with Oliver Glasner and Kevin Danso playing maybe more minutes at Tottenham and Tottenham not getting relegated. So I think that's definitely it. And I think especially since we talked about my kids is, the first reaction that my 12-year-old daughter's head when she saw that Xaver Schlager was going to Nottingham Forest. She said, like, "Oh, that's great. We can actually watch him more on TV."
Good.
So that's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
But I fear somewhat, sort of that this internationalization of support has, of course, somewhat starved the MLS fan base and has partly also starved, the support for Sturm Graz, I guess. So my kids care about Sturm Graz and they like going to games when we're in Austria, but
Same here.
they're not as obsessed with it as if they grew up there.
Yeah. Yes. I think we have to accept that. For me, West Ham is in the picture too.
Good. Yeah.
Both girls are quite attached to as well. We do what we can. You had critiques of Argentina already before the final and got into some nice discussions there.
Yeah.
Online. It's over. We're talking now as I see the celebrations in the background.
Yeah.
The Argentinians.
Yeah, I can hear them in the other room. But
the Argentinians getting handed the medal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's first, I have to say it's I think they have the greatest fan support in the world. They travel incredibly well. They have arguably the greatest player of all time in their ranks. And I'm generally a fan of maximizing your potential to win games. And that means also using the dark arts and mastering shithousery.
Okay, so did Arsenal bother you, for example, last season, the way that Argentina did at this World Cup now?
No, I think, I think there's a distinction here between what Arsenal does and what Argentina does, because I think, and of course, Argentina draws incredible strength from exactly that shithousery, that sort of riling up, that us against the world. Everybody hates us and we don't care, and they hate us because we are so good at this. And I think that's fine. I think the only pushback that I'd say is that that fans, I think, then take it a bit too far, and that once the game is over, you sort of have to step back and rationally discuss this. Okay. And the second thing that I'd say is bothers me somewhat is that it does set a terrible example for younger players and kids in particular. Sort of they see these dark arts and then they go to the next ground and, and they just scythe down, or you put down the shoulder. And, if you do it in a way that is not expertly done, it can injure players. I mean, you just saw it on that last, the Enzo Fernandez, the second yellow card.
I'm glad to see him go. I mean Paredes too. Send him off.
Yeah, I mean, Paredes said I said it feels like he had 30 fouls. I said at some point on my WhatsApp chat, and then a couple of minutes later said, well, okay, it feels like he has 40 fouls at this point, and he hasn't been sent off. But to be honest, the Paredes fouls and sort of like the repeated fouls and stuff and getting away with it, I have no problems with this. Okay, where it does cross the line is where it is dangerous play. And then where it crosses the line towards of like just being terribly unsportsmanlike. You can't have players like Kolobako just storming onto the pitch as a substitute and getting in the face of somebody. Like that's just, there should be, FIFA has not done enough to discourage that type of behavior. There should be automatic yellow cards for that kind of behavior. Maybe it should be automatic red cards for this type of behavior.
Mm-hmm. And it's seeping into youth and college level play. And
exactly.
I will have to say that it's not just Argentina. This particular tournament, there were a number of other, especially,
but I'd say again,
especially South American teams that.
Yeah, but again, I think, I think there is a distinction here. Again, if you look at the Paraguayan, the way they played against Germany, it's dark arts, but it's again not dangerous, and it's not particularly, sort of nasty. It's just uncomfortable. And I think it's perfectly fine to make your opponent uncomfortable, to do everything to win the game. But where it crosses the line to being completely unsportsmanlike, that's where I think the organization should draw the line. And where also I think fans cannot be blind just to the behavior of their own team. Yeah.
And then there's the Las Malvinas banner as well after the game.
I mean, that's a whole other
jeering opponents after the game.
Yeah. And, I think that there's the other aspect, which is if you want to bring attention to a very contentious topic, this is the best chance to do it. great. So if you meant to do this, then congratulations, you've succeeded in bringing this up. But if FIFA's objective is to keep politics out of the sport, then you have to have much, 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 much harder fines and punishment for this type of behavior, because otherwise people are just going to make, like an economist, the cost benefit analysis of engaging in such behavior and just then suffering the insufficient costs of it later.
Yeah. But imagine if Iran had done this in a group stage.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Russian players.
Or better, Austria. South Tyrol is
exactly.
ours.
I've joked this. I'd be horrified if anybody ever marched out with a banner that says Südtirol is Österreich.
Yeah, Tirolisch ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're cool with Spain winning it all? How are you going to wind down here after this World Cup?
Yeah, I think I'm fine with this, but Nations League starts up in September, and so Ralf Rangnick is going to take us to hopefully another European Championships, and we'll be in full Austrian garb again.
Alrighty. Yeah. I have never gotten into national teams anywhere near as much as you have.
Yeah. It's the magic of the World Cup. I'll give you one example. I have an American English friend who is just mostly American, but this World Cup a couple of months ago, he joked that that he's going to hate this cultural influence of the World Cup dominating everything. And then on Tuesday, he drove 30 miles to the last shop in Connecticut to get an otherwise sold out England jersey. So it is no matter what you do to the World Cup, and whether you bring in politics, whether you have high ticket prices, whether you have, awful xenophobia, whether you have racism in it, it cannot kill the magic of the World Cup. It is just completely, utterly indestructible.
Yeah. Do you hear boos or whistles in the background right now? Trump is coming on the field.
It's just in the other room. But
it's loud boos. It's loud.
Right. We should wrap this up because I want to see whether he actually stands on the stage until the very end.
Yes, go watch that. Fun to recap this. Glad to have you on.
Super nice to chat to you, Philip, and look forward to catching up again soon.
That's great. Get some detox in before Sturm starts again.
Exactly. Yeah. Soon now. Bye.
Be well.
Bye. You too.
Just a kind of the personal emotional curve here for me was that I was really not much looking forward to the tournament. And then I was in London for the first week of it. I saw the first Bosnia game in a pub there of the local Bosnian community in West London. And I thought, this is cool. No matter what you throw at this, no matter what Infantino does, or what politicians do, at the end, football always wins. I will say the intervention after the red card for Folarin Balogun has tempered that assessment considerably in my mind, and I hope it remains in our memory when we look back at this tournament as well. And then a few days ago, I also talked to Dhruv Kapoor. He'll tell you what he was going on about, but it's kind of a tactical analysis of the globalization of football, and I thought he had some interesting things to write, and also called him up during the tournament to hear his thoughts. Here he is. Dhruv, welcome to the Assistant Professor of Football. We've had a number of tries to get this to work, so let's get to your story a little bit. What connects you to football? How did you come to the game, and then to write about it later as well?
I absolutely love football from the childhood. I just looking for the ways to play football, hiding from my mom, because she wants me to study. But I want to play football, and I have played football. I have played from clubs, from universities. But as I grew up, as you know, India don't have many opportunities in football.
Right.
Many high opportunities. So yes, I have to stop playing. But I think that I have to be around the field, no matter what. Then I started pursuing physical education.
Yeah. So you did study. Your mom got her wish too. You played football and you also studied.
Yeah, in some ways, she got me.
Okay. Great. What university did you play for?
I play for Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj University.
What was your first exposure to the sport? Did you see English football on TV? That's what was what happens for a lot of Americans. Was it a World Cup? Was kind of your first experience that told you, ooh, this is what I'm into?
Okay. Firstly, I just heard from my friends about Ronaldo. Absolutely, he was the legend. And everyone was talking about him in the class, and I suddenly feel excited. Who is that, and what he do? Then I started researching about it. Then I started watching his clips. Then I got to know more about UEFA Champions League, Premier League. Then I slowly start watching it, and because India don't have many popular leagues, so I don't
Right.
watch it. Absolutely.
Interesting. But you never, like, you probably got into football when Ronaldo was still playing for Manchester United, right? Or was it Real already?
Yeah. No, I used to watch him when he was playing for Sporting FC.
Oh, already? Okay.
Yeah, already. I was kind of 8 or 10 years old at that time, uh, and I used to watch him.
Yeah.
Then he changes the club. I changes the team with him also.
Okay. That's a different story than mine. First, I've never been very fascinated by Ronaldo. And I came to love the club first. And then players kind of came second. And I would say for me, it's still that way. I've never really been a fan of an individual player.
No, I was saying that as I'm in India, so there is football not much popular. Leagues are not very popular. So
Yeah.
everyone is an individual fan here.
Right.
So I'm also part of that.
Does that, do you think slowly but surely the leagues in India are growing, the interest in the national team is growing, or not? Is it all, the interest is all in foreign players and foreign leagues?
I would not say that it is not growing. It is growing, but sometimes it get chaos with politics in
Yes.
India.
Uh-huh. For
I will
example?
straightforward. For example, there is not many high infrastructures, not many facilities. Uh, they help players grow up, but first of all, they seen their own what we say that they put themselves first and players second. Mostly, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. The word you might be looking for is corruption. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I thought so. Good. Well, in light of all of that, it's just been fascinating to me to read the article that initially made me contact you. You had an ambitious thesis in there, and I think it got some hearing. I had never read your name before, and I found the analysis really intriguing. And I'm of two minds about this World Cup. And the angle that you presented was one that I was interested in because I can that's what I can get into. It gets me away from other forms of corruption in football. You were arguing that this might be the last World Cup that we are seeing globally, distinct styles of play among countries. And we're kind of moving out of that era. You write that you used to be able to watch 10 minutes of a match and instantly recognize where a team came from. And I think many listeners have a similar idea. So you watch the World Cup and you see, okay, Latin American teams play like this or that. African teams play like this or that. The Germans always play like the Germans, right? And this is still something that I grew up with in football, that through the game, through not just the jerseys and the fans, but through the way the game was played, you could you could read something in there about the country. You're saying that time is coming to an end. Is that just being nostalgic, or do you think is there something real and measurable that's been lost? And if so, when did that happen? So explain your thesis a little bit here. I think it's really intriguing.
I think nostalgia plays a role. Um, because if you see every generation romanticize the football it grew up with, uh, but I don't think that is only emotional. If we speak historically, you see football cultures I say developed in relative isolations. Every country have its uniqueness. If you pick Brazil, they have relationship with the space and creativities. Italy plays defending very well. Netherlands have very huge possession.
Yes,
So every team,
3-4-3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, every team has their own uniqueness, and especially today, the information travels very fast. As you can see, we have social media. We have what to say. We have if you say Guardiola clips everywhere, top managers clip you found everywhere. So but we can say that every you can see every coaches from different nations using the same concepts. They are watching from same managers. If you can say Guardiola, you can say Arteta. Uh, they are seeing from they are adopting similar courses. They are using same analytical tools. I think there are not many difference between the fullback, despite their nation. That if our fullback is from Japan, Spain, they are all similar. They are following the same tactics. So, if I could say in one word, tactics improved, but
Yeah.
they have tactics improved, but culture reduces. Their style of play has many differences.
Tactic improves, but culture is reduced. I think it's fascinating. So basically, you would say everybody can now defend like an Italian if they want to. Everybody can now watch Guardiola or Arteta on video, dissect them and analyze and take what fits their team too. And at least, and this is from an Austrian, we've just found that out at the World Cup too, everybody can now do pressing. That's not a specialness anymore. Every team is assumed to play like that, and to think one step farther is getting harder and harder. Do you miss the time when nations had distinct, or is that something we should hang on to, that nations have distinct football cultures? Like, do you mourn that a little bit?
Sorry, can you once repeat the question again?
Is that something to be sad about, that culture reduces, you think, and that tactics gets better, but the distinct cultures are going away? Are you sad about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is sad about that. If you see, many fans are also complaining that the teams they used to watch is not similar anymore.
Yep.
If you speak about old Brazil, they are famous for their improvisation that they use. They played freely. Sometimes they didn't listen to their coaches also. If I say in one word, they are unscripted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Historically.
but now every thing is planned before. Where they stand, where they play, what to dribble, and what to do in the field. There everything is similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that tactics improved. Football has always changed. Football always changed, but I think tactics is not everything. Tactics is not everything. If you say sometimes emotions are more impactful than tactics.
Emotions is what I think first brought us all to this sport. And naturally it can't replace tactics. But I think for all of us, football has been a bit of a a way of finding out about the world and finding out about different cities and different cultures and different histories. And you're saying that's flattening. And in a way, there's this globalization happening in football. But now that this World Cup is happening and is going on, does your thesis hold up, you think? Are there teams or moments so far that confirm your thesis or that surprise you?
No, actually, I think this World Cup stand as a door in between. This is the year because this is the last World Cup of old generations. You can say Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar. They having the last World Cup, and
Yeah.
after that, uh, new players are going to take away, and because they are after the globalization period. So yes, but this World Cup actually after watching this World Cup, I actually has reinforced my argument while also forcing me to refine it. I don't think national identities have vanished completely, uh, but yeah, they are on their way. If we don't preserve it now, it will vanish.
If we don't preserve it, how might we preserve it? I mean, these players are traveling around the world to get educated in academies. Sometimes they have parents from two different cultures. That's in their that kind of a growingly global football culture is in their blood, is in their education as players, but also as humans in those academies. How do we preserve distinct footballing cultures?
If they have to preserve it, they have to what do we say? They have to combine both tactics and culture equally. They have to combine both tactics and culture equally. It's good to be if you use tactics, but don't reduces the differences that you have. Try to play what you are famous for. If you use individual brilliance, then use it. Uh, if we take the example of Brazil, I say they are very good before, but today they are more tactical. So if I say actually, how do we preserve them? Every country use your tactics, but try to be more culture. Don't mess up with your culture. Uh, if I take example, if Italy is good at defending, defend more. Don't try to start pressing what they used to, and that's why they are not in the World Cup right now.
Yeah. Is there a country you think that does that well or is trying to merge modern tactics, but also a distinct cultural style?
Uh, if I say that one team, there is not one team for that. There are many teams that are doing the same. But if I had to pick the one team that is modern but losing its culture, I could say it will be, for now, it will be Italy. As you
Okay.
see, they are not in the World Cup right now.
Yeah.
Because they try to do what they are not.
Yeah.
They try to copy others what they are not, and for because of that, they didn't qualify also.
Do you see a country that's doing better? So that's not trying to be what they're not, but it's trying to merge culture and tactics well, in your opinion.
I could say Japan is the best example.
Okay.
They use modern methods, but they are still disciplined. They are still cultural. Argentina are also doing very well. They are
Yeah.
in the semifinals. If
Yeah.
not now, they will be. And because if I take Argentina especially, they still use the emotional intensity that they used to play before.
Yeah.
They use modern methods, but they still have that emotional personality with them that helps them to win matches. Uh, I would not say for if it not playing for their if it not absolutely for their country. Actually, they are playing for Messi. They have emotional attachment with him,
Yeah,
and
clearly.
they are playing for him.
You point to globalized coaching content, especially. So you've named Guardiola, you've named Arteta, probably put Klopp in there as kind of that delivery mechanism that levels and that makes the tactics all the same. It might be a step earlier though already. Academies have already globalized as institutions. So you have City Football Group, you have the Red Bull Network, you have European clubs that are running scouting and development pipelines in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. How much of this is really about tactics traveling versus ownership, recruitment, scouting, flattening the kind of tactics that players get in the first place?
Yeah, I actually think infrastructure might be the more important factor.
Uh-huh.
Tactics are what we see on the pitch, but the reason those tactics spread is because development styles have become globalized. When, as you say, when organizations like City Football Group or Red Bull creates network across multiple countries, they aren't just moving players. What to say? They are moving ideas, coaching methods, and development principles. But so when I talk about homogenization, what to say? I'm not just talking about
Homogenization.
Guardiola.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'm not talking about just Guardiola videos on the YouTube. I'm talking about the entire football ecosystem uh, that increasingly teaches player the same concepts from childhood. They are learning from the same. They are learning same things from the childhood. Although the tactical similarities we see on the field might simply be the, I think, the visible results of much deeper structural changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you see that as a growing trend? I mean, to me, that seems to be the way that football is going increasingly, and we will see more of this homogenization, not less. Would you agree there?
Yeah, they are not going to stop. They are increase. They have to increase, and it's good in some ways. Modernization is also important. It's not a bad thing, but if I have to say in simple words,
Yeah.
modernization is good, but try more to not reduce your cultural changes. Try to combine both of them. If you combine both of them, you will get to win more. If I say in one word.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if those systems now travel faster than culture, um, you already said modernization can be a good thing. So, which nations gain from that and which ones lose? Is this erasing tactical identity just across the board? Or is it just erasing those countries without the academy investment to kind of master the software? Who is this helping and who is this losing?
Uh, I don't think the process affects everyone equally. If you take countries like Japan, they have benefited more because they combine their local culture with the important football expertise that they gain. Uh, if you say Morocco is doing the same thing, they are building infrastructure, doing player recruitments from different nations. Uh, the challenge, if I say who loses, the challenge is different for the countries whose identity I think was one built on, I could say, unique football philosophies. Uh, Brazil is the obvious example.
Yeah.
Yeah, when everyone adopts the similar tactical frameworks, some of the uniqueness that one made Brazil feels different can become harder to preserve.
Yeah.
So if I could say, so globalization actually narrows the certain gaps, which is good for competitiveness, I could say. but
Yep.
it also reduces some of the styling differences that made the football culturally distinctive.
Hmm. Yeah. Couldn't you argue the opposite, though? That shared tactical language doesn't erase identity. It's just that the different identity is now happening, as we said, in fan culture or fashion styles or media. Um, so the on the field product converges, becomes more similar, simply because good ideas spread very quickly. But maybe that on the field product isn't the right place to look at or look for the soul of football in the first place.
Um Actually, if I say honestly, while writing the article, this is probably the most challenge I find most interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I partly agree with it.
Uh huh.
Uh, yeah, football culture absolutely exists beyond tactics. There's no doubt. It exists in, you could say, fan traditions, songs, medias, and sometimes migration stories also of the players. But football is ultimately expressed. Sorry, if you football is ultimately experienced through matches, if I could say that. Okay. So the
Yes.
style of play is one of the style of play is one of the main ways culture express themselves. On the field, I think style of play is one of the most ways. So I'm not arguing that football soul, you could say, is only tactical. I'm saying that tactical identity used to be one important way national cultures differentiate themselves. And if those differences become smaller, I think the part of football culture's richness also becomes smaller too.
Hmm. Hmm. What feedback have you gotten to your article?
Um, if I say honestly, if you ask me before the World Cup,
Yeah.
I could say some other things, but after watching this World Cup, I have to change something
Okay.
because there are the countries that not we could say prove me wrong, but they also show that the culture is not absolutely gone. I could, if you take the one example, Cabo Verde is the right example I could say in this
Cape
World Cup.
Verde, yes. Everybody's favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, they are the small nations, but they still have that emotions with them, the national prides with them, which help them, I could say, almost beat Argentina also. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah,
But they also have a
yeah.
lot of they have a lot of players too that went through European academies though, right? Especially Portuguese ones.
Uh, yeah, because it's a small country, there are not many players, so they
Mhm.
have to take players from the different nations, and that kind of actually useful because when you take players from different nations, you can absorb the style of play from them. You can learn their culture also, and of course, using social media, you can watch tactics, player breakdowns also. So
Yeah.
if you combine equally, and if after this World Cup, if I say Cabo Verde, if they combine their culture, their national pride, and with modernization,
Yeah.
they are the most favorite for the next World Cup, I think.
Ah, the most favorite underdog to do
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, there's been enjoyable stories like this, and I've said to you before we started recording, I've been skeptical of the World Cup a bit more. Still am, but there are these enjoyable stories in there, and often they have to do with what you're highlighting, with the distinct kind of playing culture, national cultures that find their expression on the field and in the stands, and that's been the enjoyable part. Still, what's up for you next? The article appeared on Breaking the Lines. You're also writing for the Times of Dubai. As a football writer, where do you see yourself going from here?
Uh, Yeah, actually, I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's from physical education. Uh, and next, I'm planning to go add up for. I'm going to masters in sports journalism.
Okay. And
As I said in the
keep
starting,
writing articles. Is that the idea?
yeah, absolutely. I will keep writing the articles. I will research more same topics, and if I found the teams and players more interesting, I will write about them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From them, yeah.
It's been fun to see because there's a lot of research that went into your article. It's a provocative thesis, but very carefully argued. So I really enjoyed seeing that, and I hope you get a bit more airplay in the English-speaking global football media as well, where we don't have a lot of voices from India in the first place. But also, regardless of where you're from, I thought your article was thoroughly fascinating, and I wanted to check in as the tournament goes on, how it's holding up and how you're feeling about where things are going there. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dhruv, for your time, and look forward to connecting again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Be well. Dynamo Kiev, Sheriff Tiraspol, Ferencváros, Hajduk Split. Oh, yeah, and Sturm versus Hearts of Midlothian. All those are qualifying games coming up for the Europa League or for the Champions League. I look forward to those, and I look forward to a few new episodes in fall as well. I'll be on vacation for the rest of university summer break here. But I'm playing around with new website, new logo, a couple of new things for the new season. Stay tuned, enjoy the warmth, and enjoy the small scale soccer again. Be well.